Lisa here. Today we're in the woods to take a look at these beautiful wildflowers. Wildflowers are here for such a short time. Can you think of why the wildflowers might only bloom for such a very brief time here in the springtime? Well, let's take a look at some of the things the wildflowers might need to survive. First off, they need soil, which provides them nutrients and water. And they also need sunlight. Sunlight helps them to go through photosynthesis to make their own food. Without sunlight, they won't be able to go through their life cycle as easily and produce flowers and seeds. Let's do a little demonstration. When we look around here, you might notice here in early spring that a lot of the trees don't have leaves on them. What do you think that's going to do for our wildflowers when they leaf out? Let's try something. Here we have our pretty flowers, and I've got a group of leaves here. And if the leaves come over the flower, they're going to block the sun. So when the leaves come out on the trees, our pretty wildflowers have to be done with all of their life cycle because they won't have enough sun in order to create enough food to help them produce the seeds that they need. So one of the reasons why the wildflowers are here in the springtime is because they have plenty of sun before the trees leaf out. So what do you notice about this area? Well, this area, there's no wildflowers. Why do you think there's no wildflowers here? The wildflowers, if you remember, we said they needed nutrients and water from the soil, sunlight, but they also need space. Imagine you were this little acorn. This acorn, or even this walnut, these are big trees. Imagine if you were this little thing trying to grow in this area. Is there a lot of space here? If I was a tree and had to spread out my arms, would I have enough room to grow? No. The other thing too is that this plant here, this is a honeysuckle. Honeysuckles, you might notice, have leaves on them now where the rest of our trees haven't leafed out yet. This honeysuckle is non-native, meaning it was brought here by someone and now it's taking over some of our woodlands. Because it's leafing out early, it's also providing shade so our wildflowers don't get the sun that they need. So they're also taking nutrients from these early plants. These non-native species change the environment and make it very difficult for some of our native plants to be able to grow here. The good thing is, though, that we know about some of these non-natives, and restoration crews can come in and take out some of these non-native plants to help open up our woodlands to provide areas of nice sunlight for our wildflowers and space for our large trees to grow. This time of year, the wildflowers are so beautiful that we like to walk through the woods and take a look at them. But the wildflowers are out here for a different reason. They're out here to help make seeds so we have more wildflowers for next year. The way they do that is through pollination. If we take a look at our flower, the parts of the flower that are important are the petals. We look at them as being very pretty, we might like the color. But for the flower, the color is helping to attract different types of pollinators. Pollinators can be bees, they can be butterflies, or they might even be birds. There's all different types of pollinators that are out there, but the flowers have some different techniques of how they're going to attract the pollinators that are best for them. Again, the petal color might be one way. They might have a strong scent. The pollinators are looking things like nectar to come in and take a sip and have food. And they might also even have markings on them that help them to help identify where the pollinator has to come in so they can find the nectar and the pollen. When a pollinator like a bee comes in, they come in, they find the center of the flower where the stamen is. The stamen is where the pollen is being produced. As the bee comes in and is sipping for nectar, rubs their body, their nice furry body over it, they get pollen stuck to them, and as they fly to the next flower, that pollen gets transferred to that next flower. The pollen falls into the pistil is where the seeds are formed, and now the flower has completed its life cycle and we will have more seeds for next year. So I talked about pollinators being a way for flowers to complete their life cycle, and it's interesting to take a look at where pollinators live. Here I have a beehive, and bees generally live, honeybees generally live in hives like this where there's many different bees living in one spot. Living as a group, they help each other. In each one of these little cells here is a place where the queen bee can lay her eggs. And there's different bees called drones that come in And those are the male bees. And then the worker bees also help to take care of the hive. Some worker bees are there to take care of the babies. Some worker bees are there to help feed them, and others are out foraging. So as a group, the honeybees work together to maintain this huge hive. That's why sometimes you might get stung by honeybees, because they're out to protect the hive that keeps thousands of these bees alive and pollinating through the season. There are other bees, however, like our solitary bees, live here by themselves in the ground. One bee, one burrow. When the female bees are out pollinating, they come in and lay their eggs, and once they've completed their life cycle there, they'll seal up the hole, and those solitary bees will come out next spring to do pollinating with our wildflowers. Many of our native bees are solitary bees here in Illinois, but some bees, like our bumblebees, are actually social bees too, where they work together to help each other maintain their colonies in either holes or in the ground. If you take a look at this tree behind me, that is a place where this honeybee hive might be found. A lot of times honeybees are found in different cavities, so they can build and hold their nests in specific locations so they can be close to the flowers that they need to get the pollen and nectar to survive. What a wonderful diverse array of wildflowers we have here in the woodlands this time of year. And it's really interesting to see how everything is interrelated. From the flowers blooming at a certain time so they get the optimum sunlight before the trees leaf out, to having the right pollinators at the right time, providing nectar and pollen for them to feed the larval bees. It's fascinating to be out here and see everything interworking here in spring. Come out and take a look at the wildflowers. And until next time, enjoy these wildflowers, only here for a small time, but they're worth every minute. See you next time on Field Trip at Your Fingertips. Thanks for coming.